And I want to bring on stage two of my favorite doctors in the whole world. The first is Ted Etan of Kaiser, who, when I got involved in healthcare social media and started paying attention to who was saying what, he was the guy whose view of things really attracted me, and who I am as a blogger. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but largely grew out of watching you, because there was just nothing pretentious about this guy's blog. Among other things, tedetan.com, very obvious website. That's how I became epatient.com. The other doctor is the guy who delivered the most famous statement in my life, which is, "There's something in your lung." Denny Sands.
I give good news too.
Yes, well, yes, you certainly do. There was this famous moment I shared with some of you where he said, "Your order to eat more has expired and you haven't." So we're going to sit down and let Ted do his slides. I want to say first, though, that it's my intention in this session. It's titled "Why Participatory Healthcare Changes the Game." My intention in this system is that you will get a chunk of value out of the plane ticket that brought you here that you didn't have before this session started. I really want you to be thinking about this not as people in industry, but as patients, you and your family, in your interactions with your health, what can be done to make life better. And I really mean it, not just like bunny rabbits and rainbows and everybody feels good about being empowered, right? No kidding, because there's something real going on here. I was astounded. I mean, look at what Kevin did. He didn't tell the researcher, the Zio guy, about his CPAP, because then he might have been disqualified. Does that remind you of anything about how Craig was engaged and wanted to run the clinical trial? So really think, what is the game in the first place? Who is healthcare about? Is it about the physician or the marketing company saying, look, I've got a product and I want to deliver it to my physicians so they can go off and deliver it to patients? Or, last year, in fact, yesterday, I showed a slide from the Clue Train Manifesto. We're talking about the Clue Train Manifesto, this revolutionary book published in 1999 about how, Doc Searles was one of the authors, about how it becomes about patients talking to each other, customers talking to each other. Today, Doc Searles in Harvard Square, what he's talking about, he has flipped CRM, customer relationship management. He's into now VRM, which is the consumer doing vendor relationship management. What if you and your family take responsibility and control of the selection of care relationships that you have? What if the game is about whether you're getting what you want rather than how they're delivering what they do? With that as background, Ted?
Okay, so I'm just going to show a few images just to provoke everyone that's in the mood. The thing about that we all have in common is that we think this works, and now we think this makes sense, and I'm going to show you that it works. Has anyone been to this piece of art? Raise your hand. Does anyone know where it is? Washington, D.C. This was my favorite gallery, the National Portrait Gallery. And so this is a portrait of by the way, I'm a family doc, Kaiser Permanente. This is a portrait of one of our physicians in 2007. Permanente physicians, are about 15,000 of us, have been using electronic health record for between 3 and 10 years. Danny Sands, 19 years since 1991. Has been emailing patients since then, so there's a lot of experience here. And I've been following him since 1998 when I saw him publish the first guideline on emailing patients. This is what it looks like for members. So we now have 3.1 million members regularly using our kp.org My Health Manager. And those are just some of the numbers on the right. So 2.6 emails sent to doctors in just the last quarter, 2 million prescriptions, 5 million lab test results, and in many of our regions, those test results go out in real time. So at the same time, the doctor gets them, the patient gets them. And then a landmark study in July showed that patients that email their physician actually have better quality scores. And there's the references there, and it's also on my blog. So the other part of this is quality. So on the left is a graph of mammography screening for Kaiser Permanente Hawaii, and it's well over 80%. And it is not just the best in Kaiser Permanente, it's the best in the United States. So if you're a Kaiser Permanente Hawaii member, you're more likely to get your mammography than any other health plan in the United States. And every region that has a Kaiser Permanente in it is also #1 health plan where it is. And on the right, you can see that we're also using social media much more and talking about what this means for people, both on the electronic health record side and on the quality side. And what we've learned from doing this is more involvement is better. So this is a sneak preview. I think you're the first public audience that's seen this. This is a new version of My Health Manager. And what we've known for a really long time is that a lot of the systems that we use to give information to patients are still growing, slightly in their infancy, and the rest of the country luckily will be doing this as well. We are going to the next step, and we are now exerting more control than we've ever had over the personal health record. So this is an example of the Pharmacy Refill Center, which is going to go live in Georgia in November, and then the rest of the country early next year. But a very important thing about it is at the top there, you can actually select which family member you're going to do it for. So one of the most important things that we have found out is that when you use a personal health record, you're not just using it for yourself. You may be using it for a family member, and we need to make it very easy for you to do that. And luckily we can. And then just kind of one of the other things that this has changed for us is the way we grow our physical presence. So that's one of our newest medical office buildings in Colorado Springs. And as has been pointed out to me, the most toxic structure in that picture is the parking lot. So we're building less parking lots. We're building smaller office buildings. That medical office has no medical records room, it has no x-ray file room, and none of our new facilities have them either. What we know from doing this work with our members is that climate change is actually a health issue. So we change the way we build our buildings. We don't use vinyl, we use rubber. We don't export any e-waste. We recycle 100% of it. And we're energizing our hospitals in California with solar power. So it just translates into everything we're doing because this is very relevant to the health space. Okay, and then some things haven't changed. And there's 2 points I want to make here. Number one, people, I've seen this, I think we're all worried about this a little bit, is the assertive e-patient, for example. And this is our founder, Sidney Garfield, on the left, early in his career, and on the right, towards the end of his career. And the one thing that we can always count on is that people don't want to be sick. And so when people say, are you worried about patients wanting to do X or Y, or asking for this or that, we don't worry about that because we know that no one walks into a doctor's office or care hoping to get sicker. That's a common thing. The second thing is, Jane Sarson was telling me last night that this is a rough time for people to think about innovating. The economy is difficult, and at the same time, people say, well, only Kaiser can do that. And so I just want to tell a story about our founder, Sidney Garfield, who did not work for the government, was not a socialist, was really a guy that was not making any money. Based on treating patients only when they came to see him, when they were injured. So he was actually an entrepreneur that paired with an industrialist, Henry Kaiser, that said, why don't we do things differently? Why don't we just approach the employer and offer to deliver comprehensive care for a certain amount of money every month? And if you actually read about the medical climate in the 1930s, it was just as complicated as it is today. I actually don't think medical care is that different. There were specialists and competing interests and all that stuff. So he basically said, I'm going to do it differently, and as a course of all of his descendants have adopted that philosophy of, instead of waiting for them to come to us injured, why don't we actually go out to where they are and make sure that they're healthy? So that's maybe a little bit of encouragement to say, this can really come from anywhere. This was just a single person. It was nothing more elegant than that. And so that hasn't changed. This is our new advertisement. I just wanted to show it because it demonstrates what we can do now, and it also talks about the fact that we're not really advertising new procedures or new surgeries, we're actually advertising how we can coordinate care better.
Your health information available instantly and securely to your care team all the time. That's what we mean by integrated care. Because when it comes to your health, the best picture of you is the big picture. Kaiser Permanente. Thrive.
Go ahead. Ted, I have a question.